Welcome, everybody, to episode 59 of The Effing Title. And my guest this week is a special one. It's one of my good friends from college. We used to go to class together. We actually had a funny term for the word Brady, because Brady is slow, and Brady in our term of like field means slow. He was one of my slot receivers. And like I said, he's one of my good friends. It is Mr. Unright. But is it okay if I call you Dan?
Yeah, buddy.
There we go. I was actually thinking about that, like I said, a couple of days ago, like how, boy, I forgot what fucking class it was now, but like we were looking through the terms, and Brady was
Yeah.
for, slow, and we immediately were
Yep.
like, there we go, we
Yep.
got it.
It was probably with Todd Newhart or
Oh, there we go. Look at that, great freaking
Professor Todd Newhart.
yeah. I've also been corrected now. I'm not allowed to call you Dan. I have to call you Dunright.
Ah,
Big John has now requested that. So,
yes. Old habits die
mm.
hard.
So Dunright, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. It's just life. It's crazy. I feel like we haven't chatted in a long time, and but talking to you now, it's like I just saw you yesterday in class.
Exactly right. Um, it is crazy. Like when because of course, like me and used to talk to Rob and John like every now and then. Me and Jeff were kind of talking more frequently through like texting and stuff. So like when we
Yeah.
started talking again, it was just kind of everything felt normal. And then Josh showed up out of nowhere once he found out that I had a Twitch, and it was just like everything was just coming back at that point. It was like holy shit, like
Yeah.
yeah, we're in the dorm, and we just woke up and we're ready to go to
Wreaking
practice.
havoc.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for
Yeah,
the
we used to have fun.
good people out there that didn't go to college with you, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, like you said, my name is Dan Unright, but you can call me Dunright. I'm a upstate New York native. Went, like you said, went to school at Norwich University and got my 4-year degree in sports medicine, and then I met my lovely wife there and moved out to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Although I live in Packers country, I am a Giants fan, so I got to make Packers my number two, which I still get a lot of crap from my in-laws. But hey, you got to stay loyal. Um, and yeah, I've been for the past 10 years, or well, gosh, yeah, 10 years since I graduated school in 2011. I've been a personal trainer out here, and doing a lot of different things, and it's been crazy. So now I have a wife, 2 kids, a recent puppy as of like yesterday, literally. Um, and yeah, my life is it's busy, but it's a really good one.
That's good. That's good to hear. And like we had said, I was requested by Josh to ask you about your puppy. So,
Yeah, well, just more details on that. It's a golden retriever. His name
mm,
is Samson, which is a name from the Bible. A guy who was super strong. So he's kind of a manly name, even though it's probably going to be a super loving dog. But like I was mentioning to you earlier, is for some reason I like to torture myself and add more busyness to the life. But my oldest daughter, who's 6, has just been dying for a dog. I mean, literally her first words were woof woof.
oh, that's funny.
So
That's funny.
she's yeah, so she's obsessed and she's happy. So
Well,
it's fun.
I don't know if I've told you this story, and I think I've said it on either on the stream or on the podcast before. But like when I was a kid, I didn't have an imaginary friend; I had an imaginary dog,
Oh,
and it used to be a West Highland
unique.
White Terrier, because there was these commercials that would play, and that was the dog on them, and I named it Harry. And there was one day in the kitchen where I was telling my mom that she needed to get water for the dog, and my mom wasn't having a good day, and she turned around and said, "There's no dog," and kicked my imaginary dog. And this was like
Now, was this last year or?
this is like 3, 4, like right. And then like immediately I didn't talk to my. Apparently, this is what my dad said. My dad said I didn't talk to my mom for a week.
Well, yeah, she kicked your dog.
And then like the following birthday, like got like basically the exact dog from the fucking TV
No
show.
kidding.
Yeah. So like, um,
All forgiven.
exactly. At that point, I was like, "Yep, all forgiven."
Cool.
But all right, so we got some great topics tonight. As everyone knows, I
Yeah.
always have my guests pick the topics, and these topics I knew were going to be good no matter what before he even sent them in. So we got
Mhm.
bodybuilding, we got COVID, we got dad life, and always we got the great rerunning segment "My Life as a," which we think is made by Dana. So let's kick this thing off right. Let's start
Mhm.
bodybuilding. As everyone out there knows, I'm the I'm the bodybuilder type, so I mean, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so bodybuilding, from back when we were in college, you were always in great shape. As I said earlier, if I remember correctly, you were a slot receiver and a running back, right?
Yeah. I got well. I started my freshman year as a running back. Yeah, I had the white cleats and coach was it Roberson? I called me Thunder Dan or
Mm.
something like that. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And
Jesus.
then yeah, then they switched me to slot receiver, which wasn't my favorite, but I it got me some playing time. So
Yeah. Yeah, so tell us, I like, because out of nowhere, I mean, this was one of those things where I knew you were going to go into kind of like personal training and all that.
yeah,
Next thing I know is I look online and there you are, banana hammock, freaking getting after it, tanned up and
yeah,
glistening. And if I can, is it okay if I show a picture? I'm not going to do it right now, but like I'll put this in
oh yeah,
afterwards. Okay, I'm going to try to put a picture in here afterwards of Dan, like bodybuilding dance. There it is, right there.
yeah,
That the magic of editing afterwards that I may or may
yeah.
not do. Um, yeah, no. So tell me about the bodybuilding experience.
Yeah, so I mean, the reason why I talk about this is because it's been really kind of a passion of mine for a lot of different reasons. And obviously, you know me from football days, just being competitive and in the weight room, just being competitive. And so after Norwich and moving to Wisconsin, I really needed to find something that I wanted to be competitive in.
Mm-hmm.
And before bodybuilding, I actually got into powerlifting, which
Mm.
I did for a year, and that hurt my joints.
Yeah, I
That
can.
was, but I was also kind of lifting stupid, and I'll kind of talk about that coming up here. But
Mm.
I was maxing out a lot, and just my knees and my hips, and I ended up hurting myself, and so I'm just like, what else could I do? And so back in 2016, actually, I had a coworker who sort of challenged me and was like, hey, you want to do a bodybuilding show? Um, and for those who don't know, I'm not a huge guy. I'm not a big guy. So this is natural bodybuilding. I wasn't sticking any needles in my butt or anything. Um,
Yeah, no,
so
we don't do that shit.
yeah, I don't know. We don't want to do that. And I, I was just like, yeah, sure. I mean, like, I always kind of wanted to test myself and see how we can, what I can do. And so here goes the story. If anybody knows, how we always want results fast, and we always want to, do things through, you hear things that might work, and
Mm.
it's kind of the approach I took my first time competing, and I gave myself not a lot of time. I think I lost like 30 or 40 pounds in like a not even 4 month period, which it's pretty quick, and I ended up not even getting lean enough, and I just was listening to people telling me not to drink water at the day of the competition, and
Jeez.
don't get salt in, and so it was a unhealthy way of doing it, really, and I went up on stage, and I got dead last, so um, and I was just like, oh man, what could I do? So fast forward 2019, Um, when I competed again, I had some help from somebody, and just kind of on the side, like nothing, like official, but
Mhm.
um, same thing. I got some bad advice and was trying to do things fast, and I was actually doing so I was tracking my food, and once a week I would eat a cheat meal,
Mhm.
but like an untracked, just
Just not even looking
let's
at it. Let's just get
not even
after it.
look at it. Yeah, and I mean, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, I would. Yeah, I mean, I go to. Uh, I don't know. You probably don't know what a Culver's is, but
Nope.
it's a Midwest, pretty much like medium food, not fast food, but medium food, because
Okay.
it's really good. It's really good fast food, but but I mean, double burger and cheese curds and ice cream. I'm like, this is my cheat meal. So again, same thing. I didn't get lean enough, and I went up on stage, and I was just like, man, what am I doing wrong here? So long story short, really, I was like, I need to just hire a coach, and I need to do things a little bit different. So this is kind of what in the picture you'll probably share is from this last year. So I hired a coach. He was an online coach, and he's a doctor in nutrition and something else, and he's actually pretty well known in the natural bodybuilding community. And I just said, I'm going all in. I'm doing this. So
There we go.
yeah, so I had been doing a lot of research, and um, the biggest thing that I learned is when tracking food, I went into tracking macros.
Hmm.
And for those who don't know what macros are, that's protein, carbs, fats, and basically, um, my coach had given me some numbers to hit. So I don't remember, but let's say, for example, I was eating 230 grams of protein, 275 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat. I'm just throwing that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And so I had to track, and how I tracked was I weighed everything out, and I tracked it into an app, and then I worked on trying to get within 5 grams of each of those macros. So a lot of people don't know how to do that too. So I mean, there's a lot of people probably not know what I'm talking about here, but I'll tell you what, it was the most effective thing for me, because my coach's philosophy really was it didn't matter what I ate
Hmm.
as long as I had stayed within my macros. Now, there are some people that are going to be like, all right, come on, now that can't be healthy. Now, note that he also recommended having my 3 servings of vegetables,
Hmm.
2 servings of fruits, um, making sure I'm getting most of my, 80-90% of my food from whole food sources. But I'll tell you what, I mean, there was a few nights where I'm like, I just want some ice cream,
Oh yeah. Well, I
you
mean, like,
know?
and that's the other thing as well with that is it's like it's when you're tracking macros or calories or anything like that,
Yeah.
like the health aspect of it kind of goes away almost because it's
Mm-hmm.
not about the health, it's about tracking these things. And
Mm-hmm.
like me and Josh actually talked about it a couple weeks ago when he was on the
Yeah.
podcast,
Right.
and how there was that guy. I think you might remember this the article from when we were in college and we were doing it. But the dude that ate nothing but Snickers every day, he had a Snicker
Right.
for every meal,
Right.
and he
Right.
he lost a shit ton of weight because he was
Right.
under his caloric intake, and that
Yeah.
was it wasn't good for him inside. But I tell you what, though, that dude lost some weight.
Yeah, I mean, and really, I mean, that's kind of the thing that I heard, that was kind of a revelation for me too, though, is that a calorie is a calorie.
Hmm.
So you can technically lose weight eating Snicker bars. However, there is the health aspect of it. There is the micronutrients.
Yeah.
There is, stuff that is going to make you healthy, versus these non-nutritious foods. However, some of the language that my coach would use though is he's like, I don't like to use like good or bad foods. It's nutritious foods and non-nutritious foods.
I like that.
And it was more for the mental aspect of it
Hmm.
because let's be honest, I mean, every once in a while we're gonna want something, that we enjoy having.
Oh yeah.
And that's there are some people that are super disciplined and can eat clean all the time. I've just found that that's not always realistic, and
And
it,
it's one
it's
of those
it,
things as well where like it's tough, especially if you're like someone like for instance me, like I've always had soda. Like throughout
yeah,
my entire life, I've always had soda. Like so
yeah.
today, I started calorie restricting. That's my one that I'm doing right now.
Oh boy.
But I had a diet Dr Pepper today because it has 0 calories. You know,
Right.
and it's funny because when you were saying about just I want to hit this really quickly and then I'll let you get back on.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the just kind of the mental switch of like healthy and non like nutritious and non-nutritious.
Hmm.
Like there was one that I saw and I always mention this and it sounds corny as hell, but the main word of diet is die. The main word of health plan is heal.
Yeah.
And and ever since I read that, I was like, that's the stupidest, corniest thing ever. But I'm going to use it from this point on because
Yeah.
I need to just heal this, you know?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I mean, a lot of it is mental. A lot,
Mhm.
if food choices was not tied to our emotions, we would not have no problem with any health issues, and we wouldn't have a problem with overeating or undereating or whatever. I mean, it's just that eating becomes an emotional attachment, and if we can find a way to disconnect it and have a way of going, okay, why do I want to binge eat or why don't I want to eat a lot, depending on on who you are,
Mhm.
and sometimes just asking yourself that question, it's like, wow, I just had a bad day, like, because of XYZ, do I really need to, binge food? Is that really going to make me feel better? And sometimes it's a process, but yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, and then just kind of getting back to the bodybuilding, so I was tracking my macros, and yeah, every once in a while I would have some ice cream and I'd fit it in. I would still make sure I had the same protein, carbs, and fats,
Mhm.
and and kind of like the cheat meals. So I would actually he would have me do two higher calorie days back to back,
Okay.
which was interesting. I'd never done that before. So for example, I would do, we'll say Sunday through Thursday of a lower calorie, and then Friday and Saturday would be my higher calorie days.
Hmm.
And he had, the research, and I had seen it, the research had just shown that that is a potential better way to diet for sustaining muscle, for boosting metabolism, and mentally keeping you sane. you know,
Makes
and
sense.
um, and most of those high days came from carbohydrates too.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I mean, I did that throughout my whole prep. So I and I mean, it was really just a different experience. And so let's see, I prepped for, well, I gotta kind of preface this. So I was supposed to compete in March. So I started dieting in like October,
Hmm.
So I wanted to give myself plenty of time, and now I wanted to compete in March, April, and May. And so I started out about 180 pounds, and I started dieting. It was trying to aim to lose about 1 or 2 pounds per week. He didn't want me to lose any more than that because I needed to get to a point where I was very lean, so I had to make sure that I wasn't burning muscle.
Yeah.
So we had to do it very slowly, and I had to send him progress photos in my banana hammock, and and he was able to just tell me if I was progressing well enough or not. But um, so of course the other thing that comes with prep is working out as well.
Hmm.
So we were talking about like strength training versus cardio
Yep.
and what kind of ratio was in there. And so for one, there's a stigma of doing higher reps gets you leaner. I don't know if you've heard that before.
Yeah,
Um,
it's. I tell you what, man. It's been so long since I've actually like remembered anything that I freaking learned in
yep,
Norwich. That like
yep, yep.
like whenever people say stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just keep going with that. Just keep going with that. Yeah. Well, I mean, and there is that kind of stigma.
Hmm.
And I even had that stigma as well. But come to find out, you actually want to keep lifting pretty heavy while you're dieting because that actually helps stimulate muscle growth a little bit more because you're holding on to some heavier weights, your body's gonna go into adaptive mode, going, oh, well, we better at least sustain some muscle here. So if you lighten your loads while you're trying to diet, the potential of burning more muscle is greater. So um, that was one thing again that just I had learned a little bit more of, and then and also doing cardio. I virtually did zero cardio.
I was about to ask about that because
Yes.
that's one of the things that I've started doing recently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is I just started doing cardio again. Of course, I'm not going to start getting into bodybuilding and everything, but still, I was very interested once I saw cardio versus strength training because, like, I
Yeah.
remember seeing because my dad's a big bodybuilder guy.
Yeah.
He loves looking at it. He loves going over all of it. He loves reading all the articles. Mr. Olympia, all of it.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and some of the stuff that I've always seen is like either Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler or Dexter Jackson. It's like
Oh yeah.
them up in the morning super early on the treadmill or like on the bike, just kind of moving.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
So those, and obviously those guys, being professional bodybuilders and everyone's different, of course, too. So and when I say I didn't do any cardio, virtually no cardio, I didn't do any formal cardio. So
Mhm.
what I did though, is my coach had me count my steps.
Oh, okay.
And so I got to a point though where I was forced to go for walks. So I wasn't doing anything beyond that though.
I love the way that you worded it. Just I was forced to go on walks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I had to get my step count,
Hmm.
and I'll tell you what, when you get to a point, like if you get to a point where you're so like really lean,
Hmm.
you just feel like just everything gets sucked out of you. I mean, you just feel like you're not even really existing. So
Okay, let me write this. Don't get lean. Gotcha.
yeah, 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 yeah. Don't get that lean. Don't get that lean unless you're competing. I mean,
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure if I got ever to that point of lean, a lot of you guys would message me asking me if I'm okay. I
yeah,
mean,
right. Yes. Well, I think I had some concerned people. There were a couple people telling me that I kind of looked like I was starving, and
they weren't wrong, but they weren't right.
they
But
weren't wrong. Yeah, and I couldn't really muscle up too many responses. I'd be like, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
well, yeah, thanks, appreciate you.
you know, yeah, yeah. So, it's just so I was counting my steps, and hitting a step minimum per day, and so as I was getting closer, so my first competition was supposed to be, um, I think the end of March. Actually, I think it was supposed to be 1 year ago today,
Hmm.
um, if I remember right. So obviously, and we'll get more into this later, COVID hit and everything got shut down. The gym that I work at got shut down, so I was at home. Um, but the competitions weren't canceled just yet. And so I was holding on to the hope to compete, and so my coach had me can keep dieting. So yeah, as long as everything's going on, we're gonna diet. And we actually went into our peak week,
Hmm.
which I'll explain what peak week is a little bit later. So basically, peak week is the week um,
Before the competition.
before the competition. Yep.
Okay.
And so I was just entering peak week when I got the email saying the competition was canceled
Oh.
due to COVID. And I was like, damn it. Like, I've been dieting here for 6 months just about, and they're canceled. And then so it's like, okay, I got it. I'm gonna April, 3 weeks later, I'm gonna compete. Canceled. And then okay, yeah, May canceled. So
Mm.
obviously I I had I was very disappointed in that, but I still wanted to um, compete. So
Hmm.
I mean I was in the best bodybuilding shape, and I say that because remember, not healthy state, best bodybuilding shape that I'd ever been in. So I said that I started at 180 pounds. I was probably about 155, 154 at that point, and I looking back, I was pretty lean, and I was like, even I was a little lifeless, but I was very lean, and and so here's another interesting thing with that. So when these shows were canceled, my coach had me do what he calls, and some of the people in that community call a diet break. So basically, what we did was we brought my calories up to a maintenance level. So basically, whatever it took to balance my weight out at 154,
Okay.
155. So in hopes that there would be a show that was announced
Like
that was going to be
coming up soon, sort of thing, right?
right, exactly. So
Mm.
um, so I went on a diet break. I brought my calories up. So I think my lowest my calories got to was about 1,700 um, per day when I was, yeah, at my lowest. And then I think if I remember right, I was on my diet break, I was eating probably around 2,200 calories. And I was maintaining. And thankfully, I have a gym at my house, and or equipment at least, and so I was able to, yeah,
Wait a second. Did you just say your lowest was 17 and your highest was 22?
no, 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 no. I what I started was at 3,000,
Okay.
but
Because I
my
I was gonna say,
yeah
man,
my
like I have everything set, so I'm losing 2 pounds a week, and my
yeah.
budget that I'm allowed each week is 2,800. So when you said 22, just barely, I was like, wait, time out. What?
No, 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 no. Well, that was just my maintenance for when
Okay.
I was 155 pounds,
Hmm.
So, um, like right now, that would be a deficit for me. I
Yeah.
mean, because I'm heavier, but just to sustain, like, staying lean and not gaining weight. Um, so, anyways, the first competition that the, came up was in June,
Hmm.
and this was like in western Wisconsin, and then just about a couple weeks before that got canceled, and I was like, man, am I ever going to compete? And like, I mean, I was holding on to it here.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then there was another competition that decided to open up, and this was in Missouri. And that's about a 9-hour drive
Oh, damn.
for me. And but you know what, Colin? I said I've gone this far. It's been about
I was
eight
gonna I was
months.
gonna say I could kind of see you just kind of sitting there, like you see it on the phone, and you're just kind of like, you know what? Fuck it. That's that.
Yep, yep, and I was. That's exactly it, man. And I told my coach, I was like, "This is what I'm thinking about," and he's like, "All right, whatever." He didn't care, and I mean, he did care, but I'm just saying, like, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, like, let's if you're willing to drive that far," and I was, so I signed up for it, and and we started dieting again. So I mean, from my maintenance. And what's cool about a diet break is that I was actually able to diet on a little bit higher calories at that point. So it's almost like having that diet break for maybe 3-4 weeks. I was able to boost my metabolism up a little bit, so that
Mm.
then my lowest was like 1850 instead of the 1700.
Okay.
And then I started, and then I just a few more pounds of fat. Like, I think the day of my competition, I actually weighed in at like 149.8, which I haven't seen that number maybe since middle school. Um, it was just crazy. So yeah, so this was June 20th last year. Obviously COVID was still going on, and my gym had actually opened up June 1st, so I was getting back to work. And so I drove down to Missouri on a Thursday. He had a whole plan laid out for me for my peak week. So peak week, here's how I mentioned before where I was doing everything wrong, where I was cutting out water, cutting
Mm-hmm.
out sodium, and so that's a big misconception in that world, because for your muscles to look full and hard and shredded, you need water and sodium
Well,
and
that's
carbohydrates.
that's what I was gonna say. When you first were saying about it, I was like, that doesn't seem like right because like I
Mm-hmm.
remember, I remember back when like I was in high school, I started taking creatine, like my senior
Yep.
year of high school, and then just to find out eventually that like all it does is retain the water in your muscles, so it makes you look a little bit bigger, you know. So like yeah, when you were saying that, I'm kind of sitting there like, that that didn't seem
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And actually, note on creatine. Creatine actually is very helpful for muscle growth, for
Hmm.
for strength, just because it does create a little bit more energy. But yes, it does. It can retain a little bit of water.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So during my peak week, I started out. Well, actually, before that, even I had we had did some like test loads, and what we load is carbohydrates. So that's why when I say test load, it's loading carbohydrates. So I actually did 3 different test loads like a few weeks before, like a month before,
Hmm.
where I did like 300 carbs in a day, and then I did like 350 in a day, and I think I did 450 in a day.
And this is just kind of to
Um,
see how you. Is this one of those things to see how you feel, how you look, how you
ex-
kind
e-
of.
exactly. It was
Okay.
all about look. It was just like, how did I look the next day? Because the goal was to try to um, get my muscles as full as possible,
Hmm.
veins popping, and I look, I just have that hard look, so and I was drinking about a gallon of water a day, minimum. And then I think at that point I didn't track my sodium, but at that point he was having me do like 5,000 milligrams a day, I think 5 or 6,000 milligrams, whatever my normal was.
Yeah.
And basically that's what I did, like all all week. Is um, I drank water, and I had the same amount of sodium, and then I'd keep my carbohydrates on my at like low at my dieting, and then the Friday before the competition is when I would load, which was kind of opposite thinking of what I had in the past. Is
Mm.
I would load, and I think I ended up loading on 300 grams or 350, whatever was there, because that's where we figured I looked the best. And then on competition day, same thing. It was very methodical of timing of carbohydrates and sending pictures, and I could literally start seeing my muscles fill out, which was just amazing to me, because I just hadn't experienced that in the past, because I was just doing it all wrong, and I was looking super flat. And so anyways, I got to drive down to Missouri. And another thing to mention is bodybuilding is a lot of practice of posing.
Hmm.
And you know there's mandatory poses, 7 of them I believe off the top of my head. And it just was when you feel like death and you're trying to practice and you have to hold the poses, it was tough. But thankfully, due to COVID, they actually rushed through the show
Oh,
pretty fast.
okay.
So so I got there. Like I said, was loaded up, and I think I had 5 guys in my class,
Hmm.
and I actually ended up winning my class,
A
and yeah, which was awesome. I mean, coming from last place, the last 2 competitions to first place was just an amazing feeling. And then you do an overall. So there was 2 subcategories. So there was like a short and a tall
hmm.
category for bodybuilding, and I won the. I was actually in the tall, and so I won that, and then I competed against the guy who won the short, and unfortunately he was just a lot bigger than I was. So
I mean,
yeah,
those damn short guys. They just
yeah. He was kind of he was just one of those
stocky,
freaks that just
yeah, stocky.
yep, yeah, and it makes him look good. So so in they bodybuilding, they judge you off of size and symmetry and obviously conditioning.
Hmm.
I do have to say, I think I was, well, he even admitted that I was more conditioned than him, and that's just the judgment of like being lean. And I definitely felt like it was fair, but because they obviously were looking for more size, but
Hmm.
I had the leaning. So anyways, that was a great experience, long drive. But then the next weekend I actually competed as well, in Minnesota, which is another about 5 hour drive. And, same thing, went through the peak week and really enjoyed it, going into it. And that I ended up, and it was so quick, man, with COVID and everything. It was just, I mean, they would just rush you in and out. They only allowed 10 people in the state or the audience at one time. And it was just in and out really quick. So that I ended up getting second place to another freakazoid, and
All right, fair enough. Second. I
um,
mean, we take a second around here. We take a good
yeah,
healthy second.
yeah. Oh, hey, it was, again, it was way above and beyond what I had done before, and I was just really grateful for it. And I do have to mention, since you had mentioned it, is the whole tanning process.
Hmm.
So a lot of people wonder about that, and so the idea is to get as dark as possible, um, because when the lights are on you, and I'm a white boy, like, you put those bright lights on me, you won't, it's just a reflection back in your eyes,
Yeah, right. Whole
and
audience blinded, judges,
yeah, yeah,
everyone.
right, right. I'm just like a mirror, and so you have to get really dark so that you can see the lines. It
Hmm.
pulls out the definition. And when you're on stage, being in the audience, you don't really look that dark necessarily. But I actually, what I had was actually a lotion. A lot of people do spray tanning, but I actually had a
Well, I was gonna
lotion.
say, if I remember right, I think I saw a picture of your wife, and she'd put it on one
Y-
time, and she had it all
yep.
over her hands, and there's like a picture of you and her, and she just had it on her hands, like smiling. And I remember seeing
Yep.
that, and I was just like, wait a minute, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's happening here? Yes. So
This is
yeah,
allowed on
there's
Facebook?
yep. So yeah, there's this stuff called Dream Tan, and it is literally like this lotion, and it gets you super dark, and I look all like glistening, but it's a mess. I mean, oh man, honestly, after I took a shower in the hotel after, I thought I was gonna have to pay a charge because it was like staining the bathtub, and it was like, oh,
Oh,
dude, I
that's
was like,
funny.
I'm gonna be in serious trouble here. But no, I never got a call. So, but
That's
it
good.
was, yeah. But I mean, it was just amazing. And then after I was done with my competition, the my coach was like, yeah, he goes, you go have whatever you want. He goes, within somewhat reason. He goes, you could probably be, a little bit crazy for the first day, but then we're gonna rein it back in. And so I went to that Culver's that I mentioned before and
Hmm.
had my burger, fries, and ice cream, and oh, it was amazing. And then I went into, have you ever heard of a reverse diet?
No.
No.
The
So,
only thing I can think of is fasting. Like that's the only thing I can think of for a reverse
so
diet.
yeah,
Yeah, explain this one because this is completely mind broken new to
yeah,
me.
yeah. So a reverse diet is basically bringing your calories back up the same way you would diet and doing it slowly, um, because we would, the goal was not to gain too much fat,
Hmm.
and so like that first day, you can get away with it because your body's still like, I mean, you're not going to get all your fat back in one day, so
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now.
yep. So,
Hmm.
let's say, like, so I have to reverse diet. So let's say after that day of, just having some fun, and I think it was actually 2 days, and then Monday comes. So here's your new macros, and let's say it was 2,200 calories or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, so the goal, so he actually wanted me to gain about, he wanted me to gain like 10 pounds back pretty fast.
Okay.
Because when you're that lean, your hormones are all messed up, so your hunger hormones, like you're super hungry, even if you are full, your body still feels hungry,
Hmm.
and you could just keep eating, keep eating, keep eating. I mean, you get yourself sick, but your body's hormones doesn't have that shut off, yet, because it's all messed up. Um, and so that's why we want to do it somewhat slowly,
Hmm.
methodically. So then, yeah, basically you just start reversing your way up, and you get to a point where it's kind of like a good maintenance, and just slowly keep working up. And the whole thing, I just really enjoy the process of it, and there's just so much to learn. And then yeah, so then I started lifting afterwards, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep going. And then I got COVID in August, but I don't know if you want to go there quite yet. I don't know if you had some questions or.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, not immediately. I had two. First one was a question from the chat.
Yeah,
JT had this question. JT wanted to know what the step minimum was from all the way back when you were talking about step minimum,
yeah.
if you
So
remember.
yeah, so that was first set up and right in the beginning.
Hmm.
So basically, he asked what my average steps were, and I have an Apple Watch, and I was like, oh, this takes steps, and so I just looked back on a week, and I think I want to say my step minimum, or my steps, just my average steps in a week, was probably like only about 7 or 8,000 or whatever the Apple Watch counted. And so basically, what he explained is he uses that as a tool. So like I said, when you get super lean, you don't move as much anymore. You start to get super sluggish. So we would use that step minimum so that activity level would at least stay a little bit higher. So instead of giving me cardio right away, he would say, okay, you've been doing 8,000 a day. Let's have you do 10,000 a day now. And I believe towards the end of my prep, I was up to about 14,000 a day. And so like I said, it forced me to go for more walks,
Hmm.
just around the neighborhood and stuff. And I mean, I was prepped during winter too. So, I mean, oh man, being that lean, you get
I,
super cold.
I was gonna say I can only imagine how
Ugh.
like cold that would be.
It was awful. I mean, it was. I mean, that was not a fun part of it,
I mean,
but yeah, I
and
mean,
shit, we like I said, we were at Norwich in the middle of a dome, so when
yep.
it got cold, and I can only imagine
Oh
how
yeah,
much colder that must have been at that weight when you're doing that.
yeah,
Nope.
yeah. It was crazy, man. Let's put it this way: like when it was summertime, and even when I was done my competition, it would be
Hmm.
70 degrees out, and I would be freezing.
Jeez,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. It was like, oh,
damn,
yeah. Hormones were messed up, man.
that's crazy. So one of my questions that I was gonna have
Yeah.
is what because of course, like I said, we went to Norwich together. We played football together. We worked out together.
Yep. Yep.
How was the transition from kind of like the football mindset of working out to the bodybuilding mindset of working out? Was it very similar to an extent, or was it a little bit different?
Yeah, it was. I mean, there are some similarities, I think, in any way of working out, but I also think there is vast differences
Hmm.
because when you're training for a sport or as an athlete, your main focus is more power. You know,
Okay.
your power and strength, and bodybuilding is literally trying to, build up parts of your body to create that, that look, that
Hmm.
X frame, that small waist and big legs and big shoulders, and and so obviously everyone's different. That's why I think it's so fun with bodybuilding, because everybody's genetics are so different. And so like I naturally have bigger legs, and my upper body is where I'm lacking, for example. So that's something that I know I need to focus on. So in my off season, that will take priority over my legs, because I need to build them back up. Because I even had feedback from one of the judges in my second show, and just she was like, she goes, "You looked great. You just got to get a little bit bigger back and a little
Hmm.
bit wider." And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I knew that."
Yeah.
So
Huh. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's always been like I said, because my dad has always been really interested in it, and I got me interested in it for a little bit. Shit, there was one guy, I can't think of his freaking name now, but there was one guy that I used to follow. I want to say he was either German or Icelandic, one of the two.
mm,
But just a
um,
big dude. But
was he blonde hair?
maybe.
Yeah, whatever.
I honestly
Yeah,
I
no.
don't remember at this point, but I mean that's always been one of the ones that I've been intrigued about is seeing the difference kind of between because that's my one that I always find interesting is seeing the differences in the way workouts are planned almost
Yes.
because of course
Yes.
like you get Joe Bag of Donuts or the guy that thinks he already has the shape and he already has the body anyway so like all he
Yep.
has to do is curl once and now he thinks he knows everything. It's always interesting seeing the way that they put something together versus like for instance
Right.
if I were to say to you like let me see your schedule then go to someone who's just a power lifter, let me see your schedule, football player, let me see
Right.
your schedule, and just seeing the vast difference between them. That's always been my interesting thing with the whole thing.
Yeah. And that brings up a good point too of just where I was going to talk about maxing out.
Mm,
And that's always kind of the, competition against yourself. And it as a bodybuilder, there is no reason to ever max out. It's too much on your body. I mean, it really is just too much,
mm,
and the risk for injury is just not worth it. It's not going to help you. As a power lifter, even power lifters, now that I do the research, but even power lifters don't max out to their 100% in training. They save that for the competition.
exactly.
They may go up to 95, 96% of their max, but that's it.
Mm,
They're just going off of calculations and potentials because they don't want to get to the point where they're going to hurt themselves. If they're going to hurt themselves, they're going to do it in competition, basically.
yeah, exactly. Um,
So,
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's always been one of those. That's been my interesting thing with weightlifting and workout plans and everything is
yep,
seeing just kind of how drastically different everything is. Because I mean, it's one of those things like you and me used to do shit all the time. In college with the football team, and then also with just our major, right? We already knew
yep,
like this is exactly how to together a program for this person or this person or this person or
yeah.
this person. And it's always been one of those funny ones that I find seeing when people are like, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this and that and this and that, and I'm doing this." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Why are you doing it? Any of that?" Like that is the
Yep.
dumbest thing I fucking heard.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about this
I
more
was gonna say
later, but
later, yeah.
it's just basically it comes down to of the best workout is going to be the one that you're going to do,
Hmm.
and if you're not going to, if you're, you could have the best workout plan in the world, and if you're not going to do it, then
Exactly. I mean,
what is it?
and that's one of the things that I've said recently to a couple of people is that like I've actually like because I I used to fucking hate working out.
Yep.
Um, the workout plan that I have right now, I actually kind of enjoy it.
It's perfect.
There's some things I want to tweak. I just haven't figured out how to tweak yet.
Yeah.
But like other than that though, I mean like I work out 3 times a week. Right now I'm only doing yoga twice a week because the third day I'm so freaking exhausted.
Yeah.
And then I do cardio 3 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So like Sunday's literally the day when I do nothing.
right, and you need those days too. I mean, the biggest thing is keep it simple. Work
Well,
out more days than not,
right, and
and
like that's the thing is like I like so like for instance, just as a basic instant example one on Mondays I do 2 sets of curls. I do pull down, tricep extension like pull downs, and overhead press with a dumbbell, and then I do abs. That's my
perfect.
Monday done. Like
Love it.
3 sets of 10. Like that's it. I'm like, it's the simplest fucking thing I've ever done. But it's like I'm starting to feel it, feel the muscles, and I'm already starting
Yeah.
to like. It looks anyway. It could just
Yeah.
be the illusion thing, but like it looks like I'm gaining
Yeah.
muscle, and it's just
Yeah.
it's a good feeling again, man. Like it's weird having a good feeling about it once again from the so many years of just me fucking hating it. you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, keep it simple, and it all depends on your goals, but yeah, keep it simple and stay
Right.
moving. Yep.
Exactly. So now let's move on to the next topic. The unfortunate fact that we have to talk about the next topic,
Yeah.
COVID. So as we all know, and this is one of those things as well. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if this is going to get edited out on YouTube or not because I can like get in a whole bunch of trouble if I say the wrong things.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't know if you've had that problem at all with the one that you posted because I know you posted
Um.
a thing.
Yeah. No. Nothing to that extent. Someone just told me that YouTube, like if it got super popular, you wouldn't be able to monetize it.
I don't. None of
Um.
my shit gets monetized anyway. Like I found a website that said that I made like $23 every month off YouTube, and I'm like, no, I don't. I was like, I wish I did, but I don't.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I don't know where that comes
yeah.
from.
But anyway, so I'll let you go with this, but yeah,
Yeah.
second topic is COVID. So here we go.
Yeah. So, and just, to put it out there too, I know COVID has been kind of a lot of controversy on this, and I'm not taking one side or the other on this. I'm just wanted to kind of tell my story and just kind of maybe answer any questions that might come up. And so getting into it, I was this was late August. Believe it was like the 26th actually, but I started feeling very fatigued one day. And just kind of a weird fatigue. Like we were supposed to go over just to some families to have some like a cookout or whatever, and I was just like, I'm just kind of pooped out, and I'm just gonna chill at home. And Lindsay was like, oh no, that's fine. And then the next day, I woke up, went to work, and I was okay. I even worked out that day, and I was like, still kind of feeling a little weird, and then came home, nothing, and then next day I woke up, a little fatigued, and then about middle of the day, so this was Tuesday, I I just felt off, and I was just like, yeah, I'm definitely must be getting sick or whatever, and didn't think anything of it really. And so then I went home, and later that night I started to get a fever,
Mm,
and I was like, oh great, here we are. I said,
yeah, here we go.
yep, here we go. And of course you don't want to just assume it's COVID. You just,
Of course.
you whatever. But so then the well, so Lindsay, Lindsay is a ER nurse for those that don't know. She was like, yeah, she goes, you should get a test. Okay, so I the next day I went to get a test. But before that, when I woke up in the morning, um, I realized I couldn't smell a damn thing.
Mm.
Uh-huh. I was like sniffing my deodorant. I was you know, I was trying to sniff my armpit,
I was gonna say,
all this stuff.
I can see Lindsay walking in
You
now, and
know,
you
like
just,
yep, yeah. He's like,
I don't
what's
smell it.
happening? Leave me alone. And I I was like sniffing like rubbing alcohol. Like I felt the burn in my nose, but I couldn't smell anything and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh
that's
crap."
weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
That must have been a weird one. Is smelling, rubbing alcohol, getting the burn, but not actually smell. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's a weird
It,
thought.
it was really, really weird. So I was just like, I mean, then I was like, well, obviously this is the only thing that causes that is COVID. So I got my test and then I got it back in a day and I was positive and well, one thing was is I had to quarantine in my room basically or isolate myself in my
Hmm.
room because I didn't want to get my family sick and so I was able to fart up a storm and not even smell it. And, Lindsay was like, "What is happening in there?" I was like,
The
"Don't worry about it."
the one positive.
Yeah, don't worry about it. And she was really great. I mean, she was like making my food, and I was actually trying to stick to my like macros and stuff too.
That's fun.
I was being a little crazy. And she would like make me food and stuff, and like leave it on the door, like or leave it at the door, like I was a prisoner, like I was in solitary confinement. And so, anyways, day by day, my chest started to hurt,
Hmm.
and I was just taking this like I'm 30, I was 31 at the time, and I was like I'm a 31-year-old guy, I'm pretty generally healthy, and I was like I just gotta
Yeah, I mean
fight the fever and
it's one of those things. I mean, I joke around about it a little bit just because I can. But we went through the jacked 3D stage, where that
yeah,
shit was basically just crack in a can. We went through the
uh-huh.
original Four Loko stage, where that was crack in a
You black out
can.
and can.
Yeah, like I've always gone back to those two things, and it's like, look,
Hmm.
if we can survive that shit, we
Hmm.
literally might be able to survive anything.
Yeah, yeah. And that was my thought, really. I mean, I thought, just just like the flu or whatever time you get sick, you get a fever. I was popping Tylenol and ibuprofen, just trying to get break the fever, and
Hmm.
which I think that spiked up to about 103 something, and yeah, I was pretty hot and going through the chills and aches, and I was just like, it was miserable, but I said I'm getting through it, but. Um, I was like I said, my chest started to hurt, and it was a weird feeling. I just and I kind of ignored it because I'm just like, I can breathe. Like I feel like I can
Hmm.
breathe, so I'm doing okay. And then it was, so this is still throughout the week. I got my test back Thursday, positive, and then Friday. Things were a little different. So I woke up, my chest was hurting a little bit more. So like when I would take a deep breath, my chest just hurt. Like so, but I felt like I could breathe. My chest hurt. And then went through that day, and I noticed like so I would have to go like I wouldn't use the same bathroom my family was. I would actually have to go through the house and go downstairs and come back up. And so I noticed that day that I would get back to my room and just be totally out of breath. Like, man, like that's odd.
Hmm.
And then so I kind of went through that whole day, and it was after my girls went to bed. I was like, Lindsay, yeah, I think if this ends up getting any worse, I'll have to go in. And she knew at that moment that she goes, okay, if he's saying that he has to go in, there's
Mm.
something wrong
Yep.
because, I'm this type of person that I was just like, I don't need to go in. I'll
I was
just
gonna say,
delay
I
this.
feel like that's a lot of us because that's kind of how
Yep,
I was recently with the pain that I had. Like I was
yep,
saying to my dad, and he's like, and I was like, I think we may have to like go to the hospital. And
Yeah,
like
that's
and
right.
like my dad immediately was like, "I'm coming to get you," like that sort of thing. And on the way there,
Hmm.
he even said that he's like, "If you're saying you have to go, then we have to get you there." Like,
Yeah,
and I feel like as a
yeah,
lot of us are just kind of us Norwich guys, and that just might be the thing that was beaten into us, about
yep,
what it's like to be a Norwich man, like that sort of
y-
thing. But
yeah, yeah. I will try.
yeah, exactly.
And I thank the Lord that my wife is a nurse because she knew what to do. I mean, so she bought one of those pulse ox, the thing you put on your finger that measures your oxygen levels.
Oh,
And she goes, so your normal oxygen saturation or not oxygen level should be, 98, 99,
hmm,
100. And she said, why don't you go for a walk down to the basement and back up? And I did that. And, things start to get not good when things start dipping below like 89, 88. And right away there, I was like hitting 85, 86
good,
in my oxygen. So,
good.
yeah, that's not good. And and so I was kind of oblivious. I'm like, how bad is that? And she goes, we're
Hmm,
going in.
hmm,
So and she drove me to the hospital she works at, so she was able to tell her coworkers that I was coming, and so I was able to get in. And I tell you, and she says this too. She goes, if I went in a couple days later, if I waited, there was a good chance that I wouldn't be even talking to you right now.
Jesus. I mean, that was
Yeah,
as
yeah.
soon as like, because like I remember you like putting up something saying that you had it. And I was like, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, well, fuck, like, all right, this is the first person that I've known that has it, like, hopefully
Yeah.
everything's okay. And then I remember it being a
Yep.
couple of days later, then it's like, it's like, oh, we just took Dan to the, to the ER, that sort of thing. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait, time out. What
I'm
the
like,
fuck's
what?
going on now?
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, it happened so fast, and I was kind of in shock of like what, and so I went to the ER, and they ran some tests. They did a chest X-ray, and a CT scan, and it showed that I had pneumonia caused by the virus,
Hmm.
and I was like, dang, that's not good. And so they started, just giving me fluids, and they decided to admit me and then just start monitoring me, um, and so each day I was there. So I ended up being there for 10 days.
Hmm.
Um, the biggest problem was the pneumonia.
Yep.
So my oxygen level, I always felt like I could breathe, which is weird, um, but Lindsay said there's this thing called happy hypoxia, which basically means like you don't know you're not getting enough oxygen, which is scary because like your organs can shut down and stuff.
Wow, yeah,
Um,
that's kind of crazy.
yeah, and you kind of don't want that.
Yeah,
And
no, that doesn't
no,
sound,
not
yeah,
really.
yeah, that doesn't sound fun. No, 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 no.
And so so each day my oxygen level started to drop, and it would, like I said, it would hit, I think the lowest I hit was probably like 70 something, which is really low.
Damn.
And and so they started giving me oxygen, and so just to give you a preface about oxygen, so let's say maybe somebody with like COPD, or just something that's kind of chronic and
Hmm.
needs some oxygen. They're usually probably about on 1 liter, and so while I was still out down on the floor, they gave me one. My oxygen was dropping. And then they gave me two, and then gave me four, and then 12, and then 15, I think, was the highest it went down on the floor. And then I was still like kind of in between. And then at that point, they decided to give me convalescent plasma. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically the people who have recovered from COVID that donated their plasma because they have the antibodies in it.
Oh, okay.
And so I got 2 units of plasma, and I think that's what actually helped me with my other symptoms. So like I got my smell back, which I found out when I took a dump, and my
That's
sorry.
that's the most us thing I think, like us as like our giant group that I think I've ever heard was I know I got my smell back when I took a dump. That is the greatest thing I think I've heard
Yeah,
tonight.
well, people might have been wondering, okay,
Yeah,
and
I mean, John's probably over there sitting like with a little notepad, like, oh, okay, okay, you know,
okay,
dump.
dump, yeah, all right, wait a sec. Yeah, so I got my smell, my taste, and the one thing I didn't mention is my headache. Oh, I had such a horrible headache. I think at times that was the worst symptom because I was like, it was just so splitting. I couldn't even like concentrate on anything, and but that finally went away. My fever went away, but unfortunately, my oxygen was still dropping. So I got my plasma and oxygen was still dropping, and obviously this was something really scary for my family because my
Mm,
wife seeing this, and she was quarantined because she was obviously exposed to me, and so she couldn't come see me, and my girls at home, they were really too young. I mean, I think to understand, but I think it was harder on my wife more than anything. But then they sent me up to the ICU because my oxygen just wouldn't um, get under control. So and I was in bed a lot. Like I was so weak I couldn't get up, and I was literally watching my legs shrink. I'm like, no, and that was the least of my worries. But I just remember having a small thought of that.
oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Um, and but I'm a guy of faith, and I believe that God was there with me, and that I was gonna be okay. It was a matter of when. But like I said, I was in the ICU, and just thinking about that perspective of about 1 liter of oxygen, just normal thing. I ended up being on 35 liters of oxygen. Um, and I mean, that's a lot. So, I mean, they had a special like device for that where it like they had to like humidify the oxygen like so that it was like moist. Oh, can I say that word, moist?
Yeah,
Um,
you can say moist. There's
moist.
gonna be a few people right now that are shuddering, when they hear this.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, no.
Yeah, so and that was just so that like my nose wouldn't dry out, which it did
Mm-hmm.
anyways. Like I know this is gross, but I was like blowing out bloody boogers at some point, and
Mm.
because it was like blocking my nose, basically. And so I was on this much oxygen, and the one of the doctors, 3 separate times, he said, if you don't get any better, we're gonna have to intubate you. And whoever doesn't know what intubate is basically sedate you and put you on a respirator. And I was like, no.
Yeah,
I was like,
wow.
no, we're not doing that because
Nope.
I knew in the back of my head too that the mortality rate goes up when people
Mm-hmm.
go on a respirator, and so I said no. And then and at night I was sleeping with a CPAP mask over my face, so it was over my nose
Yep.
and mouth, which actually was very comforting. Besides the uncomfortability of it having in your face, but like it was comforting because it was just constantly blowing that oxygen in. So
Mm-hmm.
I was able to take breaths, and it hurt. It still hurt to breathe, and but yeah, just long story short, I ended up um one day I was able to drop my oxygen or like the supplemental oxygen from 35 liters to like 6 in like a day, like, and I'm like, that was by the grace of God
Oh
because
damn.
yeah, because things were not looking great, because this had to be that had to be like day 7, I think, um, and then just slowly, I was able to keep dropping. They moved me down to the floor because I was getting better, and then just one day I was able to go home, which was an emotional reunion with my family, and even then I think they actually let me go a little bit early because there was a couple times I had trouble at home, and
Mm.
My oxygen was dropping a little bit, but it was okay. I was all right. I had a couple inhalers. They had to put me on blood thinners too. I was on blood thinners the whole time I was there, which was 2 shots in the belly every day, which was terrible. Um,
That just, I mean, I've never had that happen, but God, that just like hurt my stomach thinking of that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was just annoying. I was so sick of getting poked. I mean, they had to draw blood every day. They actually did a arterial draw. Like they had to go into one of my arteries in my wrist. All this stuff, and the reason I was on blood thinners is because my there was blood tests that were showing levels so high, so they were just worried about clotting,
Mm,
clots and stuff. So, and obviously I wasn't moving as much, and so anyways, I had to stay on the blood thinners for a while, and it was a slow process getting back to work, and it took me quite a while, and I to this day I'm still dealing with a little bit of residual like scarring in my lungs,
mm,
and but I recently got a CT scan which showed some promising progress, and it doesn't seem like anything is progressing any further, but they're still gonna follow up with me probably in a
yeah.
few months to.
Well, I mean, that's good. I mean, hey, any positive news is good news, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, especially because it's been hard. Like I've been trying to work out again, and
Well,
things are.
that was one of the things I was going to ask is like, when you said, you're literally seeing your legs kind of disappear,
Hmm.
are you going to go back to body? Like, I'm assuming the answer is yes, but
That's that's actually a good question that I don't know the answer to
okay,
yet.
fair enough. Fair enough.
It's I wouldn't compete for a couple of years either way.
Hmm.
So it's hard to say. I mean, I'm gonna work out like I would, but it's hard to say
Okay.
because I just don't know. Um, I mean, I think part of the reason why I got it so bad too was because I wasn't fully recovered from my leanness either.
Hmm.
So I think things are maybe have still been we're still a little jacked up. So I think that just allowed the virus to kind of wreak havoc a little bit more. Just a theory,
Hmm.
not science,
Yeah.
but it's
I
crazy.
mean, that makes sense to me. Like we're saying with theories, opinions, not science. It makes sense to me. If you're putting that much strain on your body to get to that sort of weight and everything, it makes your
Yeah.
body a little bit weaker because you're doing
Yep.
that. It makes sense. I mean, like I said, I'm fucking glad that you're okay though, because like that was my
Yeah.
like when I first saw you get it, I was like. It's done right. He'll be fine if he's gonna fucking kick this thing's ass. Everything's good. Then
Yeah.
as soon as it was like you're in the ER, the ICU, and all that, I was
Yeah.
like, hold up, wait a minute, what? You
Yeah.
know, yeah, no, I mean that's crazy. I'm fortunate that it happened to you. Glad everything is okay, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
everything looks like it's going to be okay moving forward as well. That's the other,
Yes. Yes.
that's the other big one.
Yeah. Yep. I think I'm definitely on the upswing of things. I'm definitely grateful to be here and be back with my family, back to work, and thank COVID.
Hmm. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next topic of dad life.
Yeah, buddy. Let's talk about something positive, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. As everyone knows, I am a dad. Yeah.
Say what? Say what?
Hey, for $1,400. Joking, joking. For
Now
everyone.
you're really gonna get edited out here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now I'm gonna get fucking canceled out. No, dad life. I mean, it's one of those things I always think about. I do always think about because you're a
Yeah.
dad, Zudi's a dad, Jeff's a dad, John's a dad. Like I can keep going down the list. Donnie,
Yeah.
Rock,
Yeah.
Kel, like
Yeah.
Long Ding. Like I can.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
shit. It's like, and then there's me, and it's like playing video games online for people.
Yeah, well, I just, was thinking about when
Hmm.
thinking about topics, I was just thinking about like, who I am,
It's
what I do, and
what's
uh,
it's funny because I've had Sturge talk about coaching and I think it was coaching and marriage.
yeah,
Zudi talked about no Sturge talked about sports and marriage. Zudi talked about coaching and marriage. and I
Yeah.
think I've had someone else talk about something in there, like that sort of thing. So I've kind of had all of these like things just about to hit on it, but I haven't had anyone
Yeah.
just be like, "We're going to talk about what it's like being a dad."
Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's a pretty amazing thing. It's hard to describe, I think, to unless you are a dad, because sometimes it's like it is a great thing. It's a frustrating thing.
Hmm.
It's just all these feelings wrapped into one. And I have two girls, 6 and 4, and um, they're awesome. I mean, they're just balls of energy, and their personalities are great, but sometimes they make me want to pull my hair out just from just from them being wild, and sometimes not listening. But that's probably payback for when I was a kid, because I was a little minion. But
No, no,
oh yeah,
no.
yeah,
Find it hard to
yeah.
believe.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a wild child, and I'm sure I have the payback of teenage years coming back to me, and but we won't worry about that right now. But no, being a dad's great, man. It's like I said, I just wanted to touch on just you know uh, kind of connecting with some of the stuff I was talking about, like being in the hospital and stuff, and just
Hmm.
really thinking about what's important. And obviously, my family is so important to me. And and just realizing how fast things could change. And but yeah, I mean, it's I try to balance out life as much as possible. And it can be tough and challenging at times, and it takes some sacrifice. You just have to sometimes give up some things, and that's just the way it is. I mean, I don't know if I have watched a show like that I like in a long time. A lot of time, it's usually some sort of Disney twist of something. And don't get me wrong, I like Disney movies,
Yeah, I
but
was gonna say,
it just it's just one of those things. But
mm,
it's happy. I'm happy to do it. And one thing that I've always had a goal of is for my girls is just being there.
mm,
And because I've seen just what it can do for I think girls especially, is when their dad's not there, or even just they're there, but their attention's not. And
mm,
that's one thing that I always wanted to focus on. So just finding balance between work um, and even marriage. Like you had mentioned, some of the other guys talking about marriage, and
mm.
obviously that's super important too. And Lindsay is just an amazing woman, and great wife, great mom. But it's just finding balance in it all. And knowing what to give up and what not to. And um, but yeah, that's the biggest thing, is just I love being a dad. And I just want to be there for them. And yeah, that's what I try to do, man.
Hey, I mean, it's from I like, of course, I rarely use Facebook that much anymore. I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of just I will hit up, like, I mean, I talk to like my mom and dad, and then every now and then I'll send like John a message, or like I'm sending myself files so I can get them on my phone, or
Yep.
like little things like that. But every now and then I see you post some of your stuff, and it's almost all the time it's family related, and I love it. I love seeing it
Yep.
all the time. Anything involving any of the guys, family related, I love it, because it's one of those things. Like, I always wish the best for all the guys, because
Yeah.
and it's it's one of those ones. I think I talked about it like a couple podcasts back, but for me, it was one of those ones of like. I grew up in an English school system. Then I moved to an American DOD system, so Department of
Mm.
Defense school system. Then I moved to America for eighth grade and high school, and then I went to
Yep.
college. So I didn't
Right.
really have like a core group of people that I was with.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it was different being in like in high school and then going to living with John, being right next to you, seeing
Yep.
the same guys every single day, going to
Yep.
practice with you guys, sweating, bleeding,
Oh
like the
gosh, yeah.
heartaches, the fucking triumphs, the all of that, you know.
That's family.
Exactly, right? So, like, that's my
Hmm.
thing is like whenever I see any of the guys, brothers, family, whenever I see any of them post anything or like this is life, this is that, I love seeing
Yeah.
it because it makes my fucking heart warm, you
Yeah.
know?
It's growing the family, you know.
Exactly. I mean, someday I hope to be a dad someday.
Yeah, buddy.
Maybe. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of other things that we need to hit before I get to that point, of course.
Yeah, you don't want to just be a dad all of a sudden, you know,
Yeah.
like
It's not just boom there. And it's like, oh,
yeah, there
huh.
then we're gonna have to talk.
Yeah. But like, yeah, of course, but like, it's one of those things, and like, because of course, like, I've said it to a few other people, but like, in my opinion, I have some great fucking people that I know that if anything comes up, I can talk to
Yeah.
immediately, and it'll be, like, and I've said it before, like, I look up to a lot of you guys in that respect because it's just like the way you guys are family oriented, the way that you guys treat your wives, your children,
Yeah.
the way you do things, it's exactly the way it should be done, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's not always easy. It's, you know, obviously social media sometimes
Oh,
can be
you
a
can
lie
you can make
and make it look good.
yeah, yeah, that girl that you're kind of, that you've been with, and all the posts are happy and great things, but yet at home all she does is yell at you. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
um, you know,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, it's like, I mean, for all you know, I mean, Lindsay's next to me with a gun to my head saying, "You better say some nice things." You know,
uh,
but okay,
so,
honey, you can go upstairs. No, I'm just kidding.
hi,
You
Lindsay.
know, you know, but
Put the gun down.
yeah, put the gun down. You know, but no, I mean, it's you know, there's. I think having some self-sacrifice though is what
Mm,
makes things work, and just knowing that there are some things that you know, and that makes it sound bad, but it's not. I mean, because you know, when I think when you're willing to give some, you
mm,
know, it really strengthens a lot of relationship and communication and bond between, you know, kids and marriage, you know, and
mm.
marriage, you know. So
Well, and it's one of those things as well, right? Like, self-sacrifice it's one of those things where, like, especially if, like, it's like they see you self-sacrificing for this, the majority of time, I'm going to say the majority because it's not never 100%, with my statements. Majority of the time, they're going to self-sacrifice as well because they're seeing you do it. So they will
yeah,
self-sacrifice to, kind of put things on an even playing field.
right.
And there was something, God, I wish I remembered it fully now, but there was something that I remember that I heard today, and it was like it was like sacrifice versus this, and it was like sacrifice is something that sacrifice versus loss, and I was like, losses
Mm,
just happen. Sacrifice is a thing that you make happen,
yeah,
like that sort of thing. And I always thought about that, like it relates and um can be used in so many different terms, like what you were saying with the sacrifice. Like for me, I sacrifice my sleep, and it's
yeah,
a choice that I make.
right.
Because, like, for instance, when we get off of this, I'm going to edit the video. I'm going to upload the video. I'm then going to go to bed either between 11 and 1, and then I'm
Mm,
waking up at 5 to go work out.
phew. Yeah,
And that's a sacrifice that I'm
yep,
choosing to make. Like, this isn't like a
absolutely.
loss that, like, it's just like, oh, it happened. No, I am choosing to do this. You know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, a lot of times people who have a hard time with the sacrificing, depending on what it is, but I think sometimes it just comes down to pride too,
Hmm.
and you know, not wanting to, um, you know, give up certain things, and even though they might know that that's going to be what makes them successful in a relationship or in a job or something else, but you know, and pride really is just it's a counterfeit of confidence, you know.
Hmm. So now here's my question because I just thought of this. If we go back 10 years, let's say to freshman year, Dan, all right, or Dunny,
Hmm.
and he looks at you now, Is he gonna think you're the cool dad, or is he gonna think that you're like the lame dad? Like, what are we?
Oh, I mean, I would look at myself and be like, there are a lot of lame things about you. There there are a lot of lame things, man. Like, uh, you know,
Oh, I love
uh,
it.
I man, I look back and I was definitely, I was a different person, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think I'd be proud of myself though too a little bit, and just keeping things together
Mm.
and I mean I've been married for almost 8 years now, and
Damn.
2 kids and a house and a dog, and American dream, I guess.
Yeah, the American dream.
America.
America. Way, I mean, even though younger Dan can't tell you that he's proud of you, I can because I am proud of you. I love everything that that you guys are doing.
Thanks, buddy.
And I'm always rooting for you. Um,
I appreciate that.
hey, anytime, man, anytime. And so now moving on to the final topic of the night, and like I said earlier, this is one of
Hmm.
the longest running segments on the channel, and it was made up by the lovely Dana. She came up with it one day, like, why don't you do like a segment called "My Life as a."
Hmm. I like it.
Yeah. So now my life as a
Personal trainer.
something funny that everyone should know is that we took the exam at the same time, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, we took the exam at the same time, and I got point one over what we needed to get to pass that exam.
Yeah, I don't think I got too much over that either, though.
I think you got a couple points over. It wasn't like point one or two like I did, because I
Yeah.
remember the dude doing the scan. He did the scan. He looked at me and he goes, "You're really testing the system, huh?" And I'm like, I was like, "What do you
Yep.
mean?" And he gave me it back, and yeah, it was like, I think we needed like a 65 or something. I got like a
Yeah.
65.4, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Bingo.
"Let's go!"
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was our senior year too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or well, because
Nah, I did.
you had another semester
Yeah.
after, didn't you?
Yep. I had a super senior year. Yep.
Super
It was
senior, yeah.
super
Yeah.
senior semester. Yep. And then that
Yeah.
turned into me then leaving there thinking I graduated, didn't graduate, and then had to take more classes.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
life, challenges.
Exactly. Personal trainers. Funny because Josh and me talked about um, him being a personal trainer for a little bit
That's right.
a couple weeks ago when he was on the podcast. So
Yeah.
of course you have the only difference is though is you have is would this technically be your own business?
So I have I do two things.
Okay.
So, I I do I do have my own business where I take online clients,
Hmm.
which is a little bit more hands off, and but it still requires some work and a little bit more accountability from the client's side of things,
Okay.
because um, I am I'm using a software to write workouts and connect with my Fitness Pal, which is a food tracking app, so that I can just help them with their nutrition. And so the only thing is that I'm not seeing them in person. I will chat on the phone with them, but mostly it's a lot of communication online. And it is really not, I would say it's really not for somebody that is not too great at accountability,
Hmm.
because um, as soon as they stop messaging me or not keeping up with the just checking in with me, it makes it really hard to make adjustments and help them along, because I don't know where they're at. So, um, but I also work at a gym. It's called Experience Fitness
Hmm.
without the E in front, so it's X Experience Fitness.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I actually have been there for almost 10 years now. I got that job right out of college,
Damn.
and and that was supposed to be kind of a stepping stone.
Hmm.
And I actually really found a niche there, and I have all sorts of, so that's an in-person,
Hmm.
obviously, and one-on-one, um, and it was, I mean, like I said, it's supposed to be a stepping stone, but I really enjoyed it. I have lots of different people. I met lots of different people, and I have loyal clients, and I have anywhere from 20 some year olds to a 94-year-old guy,
Hmm.
and so I do a lot of different things from rehabilitation to bodybuilding to powerlifting to just general fitness, stay at home moms, and it really is kind of a fun way to expand my horizons on how different people are. And actually, I started my own business while I was working my way back to work after COVID, actually.
Okay, I was wondering
Um,
when the timeline was for that.
Yeah, so I started I thought that it would be good to have a business, and part of my thought was to also have a backup plan for if things were to get worse with the
Hmm.
pandemic and things were to shut down, because my gym that I work at is was actually shut down for 3 months about. So yeah, so I mean, it would
Hmm.
just, it created a little bit of uncertainty. So I was like, I just want to be ready for other things. So it's been a lot of fun though, because the online's been a little bit more of a different experience, and
Hmm.
it's been fun to just do something a little different, and get my feet wet with that, and so it's just nice to have, and it's there,
The one thing that I will say is that I as soon as I saw the name, I was immediately on board.
Yeah.
As soon
Yeah,
as I
I
saw the
figured
name,
I
because
figured I had to do that,
one, like, so for everyone out there that doesn't know, you will see it in the thumbnail. You will see the PD, and it's the name of it is Physique Done Right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
like, as soon as I read it, I read it out loud, and I was like, oh my god! And I
Yeah.
remember I
Yep.
showed it to my dad, and my dad was like, he was like, that's smart, like that sort
Yep.
of thing. Um,
Yep.
So, and like I said, like earlier, I love the fact that you said from like 27 to 94. Like, it's because it's one of those things. Like, the 27-year-old, could be a collegiate athlete, could
Yep.
be a kid that just came out of college, could be a kid working towards the NFL, could be
Yep.
anything like that.
Yep.
NHL, NBA, all those different things. But then, like, so like the training for that is different than like the soccer mom, which is also different than the 94-year-old, which is also
Hmm.
different than and I love the fact that you are still doing in-person stuff, because one, in person you are great with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just from our days in college, of us working out together and us being able to help each other and stuff, and remembering, just kind of the different things we would talk about during those times and stuff. It
Yep.
was always, one of those things I knew you had a very strong suit in, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, our courses that we had in college and everything, along with what we already knew. Yeah, it's a really cool thing, man. I love the idea of uh, a trainer and how you can help people. And like I said, just the difference of, like, this kid wants to get his bench to 315. This
Hmm.
soccer mom wants to get her ass big.
Hmm.
This 94-year-old just wants to be able to walk a mile today.
Yep. You
You
got
know,
it.
and it's just hitting those different things. It's such a great, unique skill, I guess, and doing it the right way as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I'll tell new trainers that are coming in that you will be more successful as a trainer if you don't know as much but are personable than if you know a lot and aren't personable.
Hmm.
And because I mean, you can fake it till you make it, in I mean, essentially, and unless you're hurting people, but it takes a certain amount of adaptability and just being willing to be open and listen to different people, and because like we said before, I could build the best program in the entire world, but if they're not going to do it, then
Hmm.
it's not the best program in the entire world. So
Exactly.
you have to cater to people's strengths and know their weaknesses and really what they're looking for. I mean, if they're like, I just, I have a back problem and I just, I really want to, work on stretching and stuff. I'm like, let's just go deadlift and squat, like.
Yeah.
Your back it'll be all right, but if you actually take the time and say, assess it and work on some mobility issues and
Hmm.
or like the 94-year-old I was talking about, like I mean he can't do a whole lot, but his is all about functionality. Is can he move from one chair to the next? Can he and get up off the toilet basically,
Yeah.
and it's like those are real life situations for him, and
Hmm.
so yeah, it's really rewarding though to see people and uh, change and do well, um, and there's always people that they're gonna have their ups and downs too, but I'm always really grateful for people that are loyal and stick with me, and sometimes I'm like, man, I can't believe
Hmm.
still sticking around, but you realize that you're making an impact on their life.
Yeah, I mean, like that was one of the things I loved about when I was doing the strength coach stuff when I was coaching, was seeing the kids, hitting those new weights, but seeing them getting excited about it too.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And obviously my bodybuilding has also enhanced my I think my knowledge just from doing a lot of research, and
Hmm.
so getting the nutrition aspect of it, being able to teach them because I've experienced it myself, and
Hmm.
which I think is huge. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad to be doing it. I wasn't sure for a while if I was even going back after the lockdown, but I'm things are starting to pick back up here, so I'm glad that it is.
That's good to hear that things are picking back up. Because I mean, like, yeah, that
Yep.
was one of the things that me and Josh had talked about was, um, kind of like there's a guy in the town that I live in who he this dude could go on a eating binge for an entire year and he would still look the exact same sort of thing.
Oh,
He's one of
yeah.
those guys. So of
Mm-hmm.
course he has a gym, he has all this, and he's one of the names of the town. So he already, no matter what,
Wow.
he was going to have the business, right?
Gotcha.
And me and him had a big disagreement discussion at one point about certain things. Like it was
Mm,
like brand new kids, and he wanted them to do what the hell was it? It was like dumbbell like split jerks or something like that,
sure. Mm-hmm.
like straight away freshmen.
Hmm.
And I remember telling him like, look, like I can barely do those.
Right.
Like I'm
Right.
10 times the athlete that these kids are right this second, and I haven't
Yeah.
worked out in years. And it's hard
Yeah.
for me to. How do you expect them to do that? And he's like, well,
Yeah.
and he kind of gave me the, well, they need to learn this, they need to do that, and I'm sitting there like, no, they don't. They need to learn the basics of bench, squat, deadlift. Done.
Yeah.
I was like, and
Yeah.
then we throw on some of the other stuff and we adjust it for football because he's a
Yep.
football for the kids. And I was like,
Yep.
I would never let these kids do something that I physically cannot do.
Yep. I agree with that. Yeah, you can't just do something for the sake of doing something. I mean, it's in theory, sure. I mean, like that's something to work up to and maybe do because it's a power movement. But
Hmm.
if they can't get basic form down to begin with, they're just gonna end up hurting themselves. Yeah.
Exactly, and it was a big thing that I had like, and eventually it turned into one of the things where I said to the coach, I was like the football coach, I said to him, I was like, look, I was like, I'm not gonna come to workouts and help out if this is what we're doing because like
Right.
I can't do this, you
Yeah.
know.
You don't want to put your name on that.
Yeah, no. So I mean, but I mean, it's one of those things as well that I think is a, because this is another thing, of course, little bit different from me and Josh's side of it because of the both of us know our shit,
Yep.
but because of the way that we physically look.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, which is unfortunate that people
Exactly.
get a little judgy by that.
So that was one of the things that we had talked about. when we were talking about it, because like I said,
Yeah.
we went through endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph. We went through all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
We went into it.
I like it.
Yeah, we were going into it. We talked a little bit about macros. As soon as you said about macros, like I was
Hmm.
like, hey, for the people that have been watching this, weekly, y'all should know what's coming up right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Talking macros.
yeah, because I mean, like, there's people out there that are, like I said before, they're in good shape because they've always been in good shape, and
Yeah.
all they need to do is like two basic things and take out this one food and not do this or do
Right.
this one thing, and they lose weight or they gain a little bit of muscle, and immediately they know what's best for everybody.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's too many influencers out there that just
Mhm.
look good, and people try to do the same exact thing they're doing, and it just ends up in a disaster.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's kind of that was one of the things I was going to bring up is kind of like the dark side of personal training. Have you ever had to deal
Yeah.
with anything like that in your like with you doing stuff?
Um, you mean like just as far as like other people having like bad form, or like myself? Like,
No, like I mean, just kind of other people, like other either personal trainers that you work with or that you see kind of
yeah,
doing that sort of thing where it's like, it's like, oh well, I can do this, so or hey,
for
you should
sure.
do this, and you know for a fact like no, you shouldn't be doing like
So yeah, I'll tell you a story.
beautiful love stories there.
There's this one trainer, and this was probably this had to be a while ago, 8 years ago or so, and he was having a 250 plus pound man in his 60s with bad knees doing box jumps. And there in the gym, it's not there anymore, but at the time there was like this, like, yeah, there was like this half wall.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was maybe about 4 feet tall. And he was having him do box jumps up against this half wall, and this guy hooked his foot underneath it, and his face went right into this half wall on top, like kind of right in the corner on top, and he smashed his lip, and he literally bit like into the wall. Like there was teeth marks to
Oh,
the day it went down. I would always tell people, "You see these teeth marks?" And and I just remember he came by me and was like, like, oh, am I bleeding and stuff? And like I could like see through his bottom lip to his teeth, and I mean he smashed his teeth, and there was no reason that guy should have been doing that. So he was just having him do it for the sake of doing it. There was no thought behind it, and yeah, unfortunately, I have seen that a couple of times, and I've just seen people do silly things, and not even really paying attention to what their clients are doing, and it was just let's just get them a workout and get them sweating, but unfortunately they were doing things that were dangerous, so
oh man, that's
yeah.
like you
Yeah,
were saying
so
you were saying box jumps and like. Of course, mind you, I'm 100 pounds heavier than that, but like I'm also half the age of that, And
yeah.
it's like nah. It's like I at one point I was doing box jumps with 30-pound dumbbells.
Wow.
This was like 5 years ago now. When I was still trying to be athletic enough so I could
Yep.
show the kids stuff and like
Yep.
not be one of those guys where it's like, all right, guys, we're going to show you how to do this power clean. Put those
Yep.
10-pound weights on, like that sort of
Yeah.
thing. It's like, nah, it's like throw fucking 215 on there and I'll show you how to do this,
Yep.
like that
Yep.
sort of thing. I don't ever think I did 215, but still,
Yeah,
like, it's like,
I hear you.
yeah, like I was doing it then, and like even then, I was like very like skeptical of what I was doing.
Well, yeah, anybody can diff it, but it's like, at least somebody that, might be able to recover from it, or just don't do it against the half wall, like,
Exactly, like,
so many different avenues. So yeah, I mean, it's just, and there's been times where I've had to kind of step in and just not in front of the client, but like just like, hey, you mind if I give you a little tip on this, or whatever. But
Hey,
I try not to step on toes, but
yeah. Hey, mind if I give you a little tip? Stop being a douchebag.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Stop programming like an idiot, like
Um.
yeah,
All right. So that's of course like that's an example of a very negative situation. So
yeah.
now I want to hear kind of what's kind of the best thing that you've seen or you've been a part of or you've helped someone do. Like what's like if you had to go to like your crowning kind of thing, right?
Sure, sure.
If you
Yeah, I
have
mean,
one that you can think of, just kind of.
yeah, the one that just popped in my head first was this guy who came to me. He was about 6'5", about 300 pounds, and he wanted to lose a good amount of weight. He wanted to just look better, feel better. He was a truck driver,
Hmm.
and he I ended up finding this out like kind of in the 6 months that we trained, that he had always wanted to be in the military, but he couldn't because he was too big.
Yep.
And so he ended up losing 80 pounds, and then he quit his trucking job and went into the Navy. And it was such a, I mean, defining, like, wow, like that was 100% life changing, because he had this goal like his life, like his whole life. Like his dad was like in the Marines and stuff, and like I think he felt a little bit, I don't know, like undervalued, and
Hmm.
and this just basically gave him a second chance at doing what he wanted to do. Now he didn't get to do the Marines because he was too old at the point; they wouldn't take him. But he joined the Navy, and to my knowledge, I think he's still in the Navy to this day.
That's
So
fucking awesome, man.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's always fun seeing people, lose weight, get to their goals,
Hmm.
be athletic, and like I said, I helped a guy a couple times get up onto a bodybuilding stage, and those are all fun, but that just sticks out to me because it was just so life changing, and he like moved to Florida and everything, and that's where he's stationed, and so it was just kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. That's well, like you said. I mean, like the only word that can kind of come to my mind right now is life changing.
Yeah,
Like you literally changed some dude's life for the better.
yeah,
Um,
yep.
that's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. It can be definitely rewarding at times.
Um, all right, man. I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything extra that you want to say, you want to talk about, you want to bring up, or anything?
No, man, I don't think so. I mean, I think I already talked your head off enough, and I mean, it's actually been really fun to be able to catch up with you too, and
Hmm.
just chatting, and it's just I appreciate the opportunity just kind of to be on here, and just talk about my life a little bit, and hopefully, if anybody has any questions or anything, you can always reach out to me directly. I'm always willing to answer questions, and especially if we're talking nutrition or bodybuilding or fitness in general. I love helping out, and that includes you, Colin. If you need a
Hmm.
little help tweaking with your program, you just
Yeah,
let me know.
that's one of the things I was going to ask you about after I go through the outro and everything. Um,
Yep.
so where's the best place that people can reach you?
Yeah, so you can friend me on Facebook if you want to, just Dan Unright, or my Instagram is at Physique Done Right, and that's like my name, D Unright, Dunright. And I do have a YouTube, Physique Done Right, but the only thing I really ended up putting on there at the moment was just my COVID story. So if you wanted to hear that again too, that was
Hmm.
just me and my wife talking about it. I do plan on putting some other workout videos on there at some point, but life. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. So, but yeah, anybody can reach out, either Facebook, Instagram, and be absolutely
All right.
willing to answer any questions.
And I'll leave a link in the description down below for everyone out there that does want to reach out. I highly suggest it if you are looking to get back into doing stuff. He's helped me out a bunch of different times, just very simple stuff. And like I said, I went to college with a guy I know he knows his shit. So if you're looking for someone that knows what they're doing and will give you the proper freaking time and effort, hit him up.
Appreciate it.
Yet again, thank you, D.Unright, for coming on. I do appreciate it, and like I said, we'll talk a little bit after I get done with the outro and everything. But for everyone out there, depending on where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Stay out of trouble, stay safe, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye.